Welcome to Parent Coaches Unleashed, the podcast where we dive into the highs, lows, and did that really just happen moment of parenting teens and young adults. We're Carrie and Jessica, parent coaches, mythbusters, and occasional referees in the battle of hormones versus common sense.
If you've ever wondered, is this just happening to me? You're not alone. We're here to help you with real talk, expert advice, and hopefully a few laughs along the way. Need more support? We also offer private coaching, workshops, and speaking engagements because sometimes even parents don't have all the answers.
So continue listening as we tackle this parenting journey together.
Welcome, everybody, to today's episode of Parent Coaches Unleashed. Hi, Carrie.
Hey there.
So this is winding down. This is our last episode of our first season. Pretty crazy.
It is really crazy. Like, I can't even believe that a year just went by. Like, it feels like a long time ago, yet it just feels like yesterday that we started doing this. So I'm super happy. I'm proud, and we're going to talk today about proud moments, but let's start with us.
Well,
I'm so proud of us.
Me too. I mean, listen, if nothing else, we completely have stepped out of our comfort zone, never expecting at this point in our life to be here. Like, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, is this where you see yourself? No,
You would say,
not at all.
Hell, no. Right.
Yeah. So we have definitely evolved, and we are continuing to evolve. And I think that's a great segue into today's topic, the evolution of parenting. Like, we start out as, oh my gosh, remember bringing them home from the hospital, these tiny little humans that sometimes.
Did you sit in the back seat with the baby?
Yep.
Right? You sat in the back seat next to the infant carrier, turned around backwards while, the husbands drove slowly home.
Yes. Well, we were living in Manhattan at the time. So we actually didn't have that far to go, but we still, I think, finding a parking spot and walking to the car probably took longer than the ride home. But it's infant carrier in the car, slow. I remember, like, first bath, like, I didn't even give the first bath. Lonnie did because he was so sure of himself and I was not there yet. So definitely evolution as a parent, from those tiny scared moments to the big ones. Definitely a switch. What about you? What do you remember from the beginning that is such an evolution for you to where you are now?
Well, I think as a new parent and having little kids, you're very focused, or I was very focused on their milestones and being proud or having pride or feeling like, I don't know if it's relief or happy or all those emotions, joy that they've accomplished these little milestones that you're looking out for.
Right. Okay.
So, sitting
As proud
up
moments.
as
Yeah.
proud moments, sitting
Sure.
up and rolling over and crawling and walking and all those things. But, you're encouraging them. You're super proud because you, as the parent, are fully responsible. Well, we think we're fully responsible for their development at those early ages or nurturing it. But some of it comes with their genetics and their DNA. Like, Devin was a very late walker, and Ryan, on the other hand, was right on schedule. So,
how much do you think that has to do with birth order, though? Like, Devin not having anyone to demonstrate for him, and then Ryan watching his big brother all over the place?
It probably has a lot to do with it. And I have an early memory, and my friend Jory in Chicago totally made fun of me. I went to visit. She had a son already, so he was maybe a year and a half ahead of Devin, my oldest. And it was just indicative of what kind of parent I was going to be because she lived in a townhouse. There were lots of steps, and she had no gates on her steps. So
Okay.
as I sat him down he was probably 7 or 8 months old. And even though he was starting to move and crawl a little bit, he preferred just sitting in one place
Right.
because I brought all the toys to him.
Oh.
But I surrounded him, and this is what she made fun of me about. Like, what are you doing? I had pillows. Like, I took pillows off from her couch and like had like a
You
pen around him.
you made a fort. You
I mean,
built him a pillow fort.
because, oh my god, the stairs are
Of
within crawling
Sure.
distance. So and she's
Mhm.
like, "What are you doing?" So that right there in a nutshell was like, that's the way I was parenting my first child. Like, overly protective, overly cautious. Let me just bubble wrap all around him. And so, yes, it probably had something to do with the fact that he crawled and walked and did things
Right, right,
and
right.
physical things a little bit later, but his verbal skills were way advanced, like talking and saying words and mimicking, so all that stuff. So who
Mhm.
knows? Who knows? But anyway, so getting back to the proud moments, like when they're little, right? Like, so their awards and their good grades or accolades in sports, like those are very proud moments, or at least for me,
Sure.
where I would
For
commend
anybody, I would
them
imagine they would be, yeah.
when they were little. But
Mhm.
I feel like now that they're older, it has changed. Those proud moments for me are they are just such kind and good humans. And watching them, that makes me feel proud and not where I need to commend them anymore for good grades or getting the first job. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
happy for them that they are achieving, but it's more the pride watching who they're becoming and being able to feel like I was part of that and part of the modeling. Not that I'm telling them anymore what to do or who to be, but watching who they become. Like, for example, Ryan goes to the same coffee place in Tampa, and there's a larger homeless population. And so
Okay.
he will tell me on a lot of days, he will come out with a snack or something for someone that's been camped out outside of the coffee shop. And I mean, he's telling me because it was part of his day,
Right, not
not so
to
I could say, "Oh my, good job,
patting himself on the
Ryan."
back.
Or
Right,
yeah.
right, right, right. Or
So
you.
like
Mhm.
that for me is just a proud parenting moment. And Devin goes and visits his grandmother who is in memory care, which hopefully a lot of you have no experience with it, but we do as both of our parents. So my mom passed with Alzheimer's and was in
Yeah,
memory care, and now my mother-in-law, so he's seen both grandparents or grandmas with us, but it's not an easy place to go visit your grandparent or a loved one or anyone. And he will go and visit her, even if it's just for 20, 30 minutes. Her
sure.
birthday's coming up. He's talking about what he's going to do for her. So,
And I
like,
think it says even more because she probably most times doesn't even remember that he came to visit.
correct. He's doing it out of the kindness in his heart. This is my grandmother, or I should say, Bubby, and I want to do this. And I know she probably won't remember. Sometimes she'll know when I come who I am, and other times she'll kind of look at me and I'll just
Right.
say his name, so it's really, really challenging and difficult. But that is just that it warms my heart.
Yeah, for
And
sure, as it should. So It's interesting because, absolutely, you have those proud moments. Like, I just picture watching back in my mind the videotapes playing, like, watching them take their first steps, and you're cheering them on, and you're like, "Yay, you got it. You could do
Uh-huh.
it." To, like you said, award ceremonies and sports accolades, theater accolades. I remember Avery being nominated for her first Cappy Award, which, in at the high schools in South Florida, it's just think of like a Tony Award, but at the high school level. So remember when she was nominated for those, just the excitement and the pride, the proud moments. And now as they're in college and getting ready to go to college, Cody asked me, he said to me, "What's the biggest compliment that you can get?" And without hesitation, it is when somebody says something good about my kids. And it's
Mhm.
it's not a compliment. Yes, it's a reflection on parenting, right?
Yeah.
But it is also a testament to who they are as humans. I was with someone the other night who did not know Jackson from a hole in the wall and then met him during a school visit. Lonnie took him on a school visit. He met some of Lonnie's friends that had no connection to Jackson whatsoever. So I was meeting his friend, Lonnie's friend, for the first time, and he pulled me over and he said, "I just have to tell you, Jackson is good to the core, like a good to the core human."
Hmm.
He's like, "It just shows through." And I was he didn't have to say anything to me, but the
No.
fact that he acknowledged just and that's not grades, that's not sports, that's not anything except who he is as
Mhm.
a person, and, just the emotion you feel from someone recognizing that, you're like, "Huh, I had a hand in that. I had a hand in who this person has
Mhm.
become and is continues to evolve into," and to have someone recognize that in him, it's just there's I think as a parent, it's what you strive for. It's
Yes.
what you want someone to recognize.
And you know what's interesting? I think if you were to share, which maybe you did share the compliment that this person gave you, but when we share things with our children, I don't know that they like, it might make them feel good in that moment, but I don't know what impact it has such an impact on us as parents because we've watched their growth and their progression. And so, I hope it makes them feel good and that they'll remember it at a later time. But I don't know if yet their brains are developed enough to make the connection
Right, right.
or if they feel that way that we feel because they're not yet a parent.
I just think it's something really nice for them to always to keep in their bucket, like
Mhm.
when for just to remember and to always look back on that, I was seen and not for any other purpose for knowing that they're on the right path.
Yeah. Or to keep in reserve for when maybe
When
they're
they're not
stuck in their
Yep.
negative spiral or their negative moment. Like,
Yeah,
can we just, push it forward in their brain for them to remember?
absolutely.
But
So it's
all right.
funny though because for me, their milestones were twofold. They were proud moments, but they were also like moments of fear. For me, will they hit I always had my mom in my ear saying, "Oh, did they talk yet? Did they make this sound yet? Did they roll over yet? They have to be able to do these. They have to hit these milestones." And like what would happen if they didn't? Avery was my first and she was average. I would say she hit everything in an when she appropriately when she was supposed to. Cody was the opposite. Cody was late with everything.
Mm.
And my background was also my master's degree was in special education. So, you know, ignorance is bliss. you know, I didn't have that privilege. Like
You knew too much?
I felt like I knew too much. And when he had no words or sounds at 12 months. I called our early intervention services and they were like, he's really young. I said, yes, but he was a preemie. And he has an older sister. So there should have been some attempts at sounds or words or something by this point. Also, he's not pulling himself up. He's not, he was also 30 pounds at a year. So may have had some physical limitations. But I was over the top. I mean, I was definitely demanding that they come to my house and evaluate him
Mhm.
for services. And they did. And he ended up receiving speech, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and also special education was thrown in there as well at 12 months old. So we were on top of making sure that he would hit his milestones. And I'm proud to say, like, he's really in a great place now.
So do you have the same fear now as he's adulting
Um,
or young adulting?
no.
Okay.
So I would say that my fears for him have definitely evolved. And it goes along with what you're proud of. Like, you just want them to be happy. You just want them to know that they're going to find a place. And I feel like I try to give him his space, or all of them, their space to figure it out on their own, not being on top of them. Huh, I wonder if they'd agree with that. Like, in
I
my
know.
mind, I'm like, "Huh."
We desperately want and need an episode where our children come on, but I think they're all
Oh, for sure. I wonder how they
resistant. So I don't know. In the group of 5, maybe we'll be able to, in season 2, convince 1. I don't know. But
I wonder what an episode would be like with
I
the
don't
5
know.
of them on. Maybe
Oh
we'll have to
god,
evolve into that. Let's see if we could
a
do
big
that.
chaos.
But, no, I guess I would if my f I guess if I were talking about what my fears have evolved into, well, first of all, I guess always their safety
Mhm.
in the world that we live in, just being safe in the world that we're living in, and just, uh, I guess their happiness, whatever that looks like for them, being able to attain it and finding something that just living a life that they're proud of and in this day and age, mentally stable and in a good place
Yeah. Yeah.
for
So
themselves.
I agree. I have hesitation and reservation with the word happiness, and I know that it's something that innately, when we think about how we want our lives to be and children to be. But given, right, the shooting, we've had trauma, we've had a lot of sadness.
Mhm.
And so, when people ask you, well, how are your kids doing? Are they happy? Like, I hesitate because I don't know. So what I've tried to change our family's narrative into is, are they independent? Are they productive? And are they working towards or moving towards whatever their goals are?
Mhm.
Because in our situation, and I'm not saying it's the same in every family, I totally
Sure.
get people who are talking about being happy and happiness and they know their kids are happy, but we've tried to shift into, independent, productive, healthy.
Yeah,
Just
I like that.
seems to work better for us than this level of measurement of happiness or not.
Yeah, that
So,
makes sense. I like that.
but it's not really a worry or a fear, but I will say that I did worry and have fears when they were little about kids liking them or them being included or them having friends.
Yeah.
And I can see the shift now as they're older, that to me, it's more important that they like themselves
Mm.
right? And that they
Mhm.
accept themselves for who they are rather than this acceptance from other peers or people their age. So
Yeah.
I could see that shift
You know, that
in.
it's really interesting you say that because I feel as I've evolved, that's something that's definitely shifted for me as well in my parenting where, yeah, going through like the middle school ages, like those were some really trying social stages
Yep.
for all of my kids.
Yep.
But
And
as
some of our kids, the older ones, didn't have social media and texting in elementary and middle school. So,
right,
like,
so
they
that
didn't have a lot of the
definitely
extra
different
pressure.
variables.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But you said something, and what I've started to tell my kids is the most important relationship you'll ever have in your life is with yourself.
Mhm.
And
I love that.
if you don't have, I'm not the one who said it. Somebody else out there
Okay.
said it before I
It's
did.
okay. Today, you could take credit for it.
But it doesn't matter what everything else looks like if you're not happy. There's that
Mhm.
word again,
Yeah.
happy. If you're not
Comfortable
comfortable with
with yourself.
your relationship with yourself,
Mhm.
then who else will be if you
Right.
can't be? You can't and the same thing, you can't go into a friendship with expectations of how they're going to make you feel. It's you have to work on yourself above all else, and then the rest of the relationships will come. I mean, sounds good, right? I
Yes.
don't know.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
but that's something that I feel like I've kind of shifted to for myself, and in return, trying to help my kids
Mhm.
along that path too.
Yeah.
So,
So while we're into the fear, worry part, let's talk about triggers. Like, did you have any triggers when you were a younger, less experienced parent? And have they changed now that your children are older and you're way more experienced and now a parenting coach?
I have to think about that one for a sec. Triggers. Did I have any triggers? I don't think I had any one big sticking moment for when they were little. Like, there were definitely rules that were ingrained, I guess, in me, either from their pediatrician or whatever, but like food in the car, like lollipops. I remember that always being a big thing, like never having a
No.
lollipop in the car. And this was crazy to me because they would leave the pediatrician and get a lollipop. But then they would wanna have it in the car when they really weren't supposed to because I was so afraid of the stick about the lollipop
Mhm.
stick going into the roof of their mouth or whatever it was.
Oh my
But
god.
I remember that being like definitely a sticking point when they were little. But triggers now, I don't enjoy when my kids compare me to someone else. You know,
Okay.
"Oh, you sound like your mom," or,
Oh,
"You
yeah. Oh,
sound like
yeah.
grandma," and it does is give me definitely a trigger, but it just gives me a pause to reframe whatever it was I
Mhm.
said to really think about how I wanna come across to my kids.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's I can see how that would be triggering. Not knowing your mom, but just being compared to someone because I feel like in general we try to do better
Yeah.
or different than our parents. And it's actually I'm actually it just made me reflect right now that it's a sad moment as I think about that because my kids couldn't ever really say that to me because at the time that they were old enough, let's just call it late elementary to middle school, that they would even pay attention and
Mm,
notice my parenting behavior. My mom already was at the early stages of Alzheimer's, so
right.
right, they didn't
They couldn't
know
compare.
her
Yeah.
or see her as the grandma parent, um, right? Because she was already unfortunately impacted in her behaviors.
Yeah.
So, I don't
It's
know. But anyway,
but
I
it
totally hear what you're saying,
yeah,
how
but you also raise another point to give me pause for a different perspective, like to think about how lucky my kids are that they do
they're
know
grand.
their grandmother in that respect.
Yeah.
Uh, unfortunately, they don't, eh, they don't
Right.
know
But they don't
my
know the
dad,
right.
but my dad never had the good fortune to become a grandfather, but it just we're all coming to parenting with so many different
Mhm.
backgrounds. We're all trying to do the best we can from our models.
That might be a good response when they do say, like, "Mom, you're sounding like grandma," or, "You know who that sounds like? That's not," and with
Right,
this
right, right.
negative connotation, that might now be our response. Like, "Huh, thank you for,
Pointing that out.
pointing that out to me." Like, "Huh,"
I'm gonna
I
think about that one for a
yeah, or
minute.
I could really see that, or that's an
Right.
interesting perspective instead of
Getting
feel
triggered by it.
right, right, feeling
Because the truth is
privileged.
we're all made up of what made us.
Yeah. So mine was I it had to have come from my parents, so I'm just gonna blame them. But
Okay, go ahead.
I
Which seems to be a lot of that.
I would get triggered if I was running late. Like,
Oh,
I didn't like to run late. I didn't like for my kids to be late. So what
mm,
would happen in the moment, it was like all this pressure to like be on time, to get out the door. And so what happened, because I put so much emphasis that for whatever reason was so important, I then like took away a little bit of my kids' independence because they were on their own little time frame getting themselves ready. So here comes Ms., pusher, fixer, and let me just take care of everything so that we could get out the door and they could be on time or I could be on time, whatever it was. So like I could see looking back where I was like, why was that so important? Because what
right.
it did is it actually like took away some of their independence because that was just so too important to me.
But are you still like that? Are you still on time for
Um,
everything?
I try, but I'm not crazy about it, and it's like I wouldn't step in and overstep and do something for someone else so that we could be on time.
Right.
Like, I realize it's my thing.
Right.
So I can't control. It goes back to that, right? I can't control what other people do. I can't control how long it takes other people to get out
Right.
the door. I
Here's
take a deep breath and just I'm ready and I'll wait or I just say to myself it doesn't like it's just a
but this is
communication. If I'm going to be late or someone's going to be like just
right, just let
communicate.
me know. Right.
That's all.
So, but that's I guess because I was always chronically late, like I did not look at it as a reflection on the other person. It's not like I was trying to take away their time.
Mhm.
It was a reflection on me and my time management skills.
Yeah.
And I think if you're a person who struggles with the person who's always late, you have to realize that they're not
Right.
at least from my perspective, they're not doing it to you. It's
Right.
not something that they're trying to do to you. It's something that they're struggling with.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely. Or you learn the workaround, right?
right.
If you know that that person is always late, then you say, let's meet at 11:15 and you're really going to get there at 11:30. You
Right.
just know,
Right.
right? Like,
I did have
so
some people that did that.
do
But
that.
it's okay. So we have friends that we go to for the holidays, and without fail, they would always look at their watch when we walked in and said, "Look up, we're in anger time." And we were actually on time to the last holiday. And before we walked in the house, I said to my family, "They're going to say something that we're on time. Let's see how long it takes. Let's see who the first person is." And sure enough, they like looked at their watch, like, "What? This can't be. The angers are on time."
Yeah. All right. Well,
So,
let's end on something funny. Let's talk about the funny little moments versus the funny older moments, right?
all
Where
right, you
we,
go. What are your funny moments? Let's hear.
so I loved some of the little like toddler and elementary age, like their little phrases that they had. And they were so cute and they were like made up. Well, for example, Ryan would say, when he heard a noise, he'd go, "What's that song? What's that song?" And he would like look around, for the song. Like the noise to him was song. Like I guess it was the word he replaced for it. But it was so cute that I never corrected him and said like, "Oh, you're referring to like a noise. What's the noise?" But it was so cute. So he'd be like, "What's that song?" So that was so, um, like I loved it.
So,
Uh,
wait,
yeah,
before you go to your nows,
yeah.
mine were they had like the little mispronunciations of words. Like Cody's was aminal
Yeah.
and Jackson's was pancakes
Oh, that's so cute.
or pack.
Yeah,
It
that's
was the
so
same
cute.
letter.
That's so
Um
cute.
and Avery she every night she did like she had the same this and these were from her fears, but it became a routine that was like kind of endearing. Like she would ask the same 3 questions every night. Are there going to be fireworks? Is there going to be a thunderstorm? Is the smoke alarm going to go off? Like those 3 that was what she had to do,
Her
every night.
that was
So,
her bedtime routine.
or bed after the books and after, everything else. It was good
That's
night. I
cute.
love you. Wait, I have to ask you something.
That's
And
so cute. That's really cute. And Devin's was because he was always in charge of his brother in the back seat. And so when he was an infant and, their head would flop around, so he would say, "Mommy, mommy, his head spilled," right? And he pull over, his head spilled, right? Or which was right, like so
so
cute
cute.
because
Oh.
that's exactly what it looked like.
Wait,
But
this is one of my favorites. Like my kids loved their birthdays. We had a birthday fairy in our house
okay.
who would decorate and do all these really nice things for whoever's which birthday it was. One morning it was a weekend and it's like 5:30 in the morning and Cody drags Jackson down the stairs, half asleep, and he's like, "Look who's up! Look who's up! It's the birthday boy!" It was Jackson's birthday, and Cody was so excited
For the
for
fairy.
Jackson's birthday that he woke him up out of bed, pulled him down the stairs. Everyone's still asleep, but he's holding Jackson up by his arms.
Well, but
Oh,
did the fairy already come?
yes.
Or okay. Or did you
The
get
fairy
caught?
came as soon as everyone was in bed. That fairy was there decorating.
All
All
right,
right,
and so
how did they,
now
yeah, to
so
now.
now,
How did they evolve?
I would say we now can, like, share funny pictures. Like, we make fun of ourselves, like, we
Yeah, that's
share
mhm.
funny pictures, and we come up with all these very cute and silly names for our dog, right? So it just, his name is Dallas, but somehow it's Pooper, it's Pooperstein, like we just, you know,
Right.
it's all about the dog and his silly positions because he does downward dog for a stretch and
He does.
he does legs up the wall, so we like try to capture him in, funny poses and
Or
then it
his
goes
trot
in
when he
a
comes over to you.
his
Oh,
strut.
Dallas's
Yes.
trot is so funny.
Yeah. So that seems to be now our where our funniness has evolved as a family. What about you
Yeah,
guys?
so it's funny you say that because a lot of our family humor is around our dogs too, but it was their voices. Jackson always gave them the best voices, like that completely fit their personality.
Mhm.
And, and so many.
Like when the dog's giving you a look, he like says, "Oh, this is probably what they're thinking or want to say," like
Yes,
that type of thing.
exactly.
Okay.
So Jimmy is a boxer, for those of you who don't know, and he's got these really droopy eyes, and he looks dumb. Like, he looks like he's got no thoughts behind his eyes. So Jackson's voice for him, and I'm not going to do it justice, but it's always like, "Oh, my name is Jimmy. Is your name Jimmy too?" But it's so funny, and there's a lot of humor around the fact that Jimmy was neutered. So it's always, "Oh, did you take my balls?" You know, have you seen them? Like, definitely a lot of jokes around that. But but the thing I love, my kids are funny. Like,
Yeah.
they're witty, and
Yeah.
they're quick, and that's where we find so much humor in that. Like, just
Yes.
I just really enjoy them.
I know.
I think they're they're funny people.
I know. I am with you. I agree. Like those are the proud moments and the accomplished, like just to be able to be as a family with your kids and laugh and just enjoy the company and their company and whatever comes along with it is just the most rewarding part for
Yes.
me of
Um,
parenting.
I am
And
right there with you, because we started out this episode by talking about the evolution of parenting, and it's always evolving, and especially as they grow into adults, there will definitely be some shifts in our role as their parents, but getting to enjoy them and who they are as people, listening to them. I feel like my kids they'll be smarter than I was. I feel like some things they already are, like that their their knowledge and their experiences and who they are becoming as people. I look forward to those moments when the
Mhm.
five of us are together. Those are really the times that I just cherish and love. And
Yeah. And I think they make us better people and they make us better parents because different from us as children and our parents, we have this open communication that
yes,
they can share and their thoughts and feelings are heard and observed and acknowledged, like just teaches us so much about ourselves
yeah.
and about them. Where with our parents, I felt like mum's the word, right? Like you didn't always share or were open to share your real, true feelings all the
Mm.
time.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Thank you for listening. We are so, so appreciative of all of our listeners. And as we're coming to the end of this episode and the end of our first season, we are so grateful for all of our experiences that we've had in this parenting journey. And we look forward to sharing more with you.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Parent Coaches Unleashed with Carrie and Jessica. Together, we can raise the next generation of independent, capable, and compassionate young adults.
We encourage you to send us an email with questions and feedback to info@parentcoachesunleashed.com. Please remember, you are not alone on this parenting journey.